Our only hope for survival was to seek sanctuary here, in the Belfry. Since that day, the Aces are the Belfry's deathless defenders. Without them, there'd be no hope at all.
Now that Towerborne is fairly far into its early access period, or game preview as it's called on Xbox, I decided it was finally time to dive in and check it out, since I've been watching this game for several months now. And while I feel like I've seen them make some decent progress in what's being offered up, I found what's here to get old fairly quickly. The beat-em-up style combat isn't anything to write home about, but at least you can choose between 4 different character classes, and leveling up allows you to spend skill points to customize your character to your tastes, so that's pretty cool. The best part of the combat is definitely when you get accustomed to your character and you dash around the screen, dodging enemy attacks and executing satisfying combos that take out groups of enemies. The map here is absolutely massive, and each hexagonal space that you clear will open up more, resulting in a constant sense of progression. Each level felt almost the same, though with only minor differences, such as simple objectives like clear a few waves of enemies in a small arena, or defend the cart. They almost all play out the same, as you simply move left or right on a linear path till you reach the end. The variety is sorely lacking, with the key differences coming from the environments they play out in, and the enemy and boss types you'll encounter. It's a bit disappointing on that front, and if I had been playing it single player, I probably would have only played a few hours before calling it quits. The fun comes from the co-op, which allows for up to 4 players to dive in together. For the entirety of the time I played with just my one buddy that I play most of my co-op games with, and we had quite a bit of fun. But the further you get into the game, the more mundane it starts to become, especially when you reach difficulty level 5 and the max level, which is 50. The progress you make turns into a slog, as attaining legendary equipment is painfully slow. And without additional skill points being earned at max level, suddenly the constant sense of progression completely fades away. This is one of those games that is simply for players that enjoy the grind and don't mind repetition. You'll need to put in a lot of reps to get your character strong enough to be up to the task of the game's most difficult challenges, and filling out the expansive map can feel a bit overwhelming with its enormous size. The main things you can do besides the beat-em-up style combat is contained in a singular hub area called the Belfry. Here you can take on different quests, which none of them are particularly interesting, except daily missions, which reward you with currency to earn cosmetics from a battle pass style system, upgrade and dismantle your gear, and potentially party up with other players you encounter. A key thing I haven't mentioned yet is the cosmetic aspect of your character. Similar to other live service games, there are a ton of different things you can unlock for some additional cash, of course. You currently have to buy the game or play it on Game Pass, but eventually when they launch version 1.0, it's going to become free to play. So the inclusion of the microtransactions makes sense when you consider that, but there seems to be a heavy focus placed on these cosmetics that would have been better spent making the gameplay and story more interesting. We did run into some small bugs and crashes a few times while playing initially, but it seems like the last few patches they dropped have ironed these out, as they haven't happened since. The last thing I want to mention before we wrap this up is that this is a game that requires online to play. So if you're wondering if you can play this offline, the answer is no. Overall, Towerborne is a game that you might think I didn't enjoy because I spent a great deal of time outlining how mediocre a lot of aspects of it are. The reason for that is because its core premise is so simplistic and things we've all seen before that it didn't warrant an in-depth explanation, as I'm sure you learned plenty about the game by just watching some of my gameplay during this video. But simply put, playing with a friend or friends is just flat out fun. How long that fun will last though greatly depends on how much you enjoy grinding, and if you don't mind something that's repetitive in nature. The best parts of the game currently reside in the starting several hours as you begin to explore and get accustomed to its different gameplay systems. Beyond that though, Towerborne is a game that definitely still needs some time to cook. They'd benefit greatly from tweaking various aspects of its gameplay to be more interesting, host timed events more frequently that increase loot drop rarity, and also finally add in achievement support, as that's something that for me personally is a current omission that I felt is unacceptable at this stage. Towerborne is currently available on Steam and Xbox if you're interested in checking it out, but if you haven't yet but are still interested, I'd say wait a few more months and see how it progresses, which I think is a sentiment that most players that have played it agree on. Hopefully it continues to improve though. Let me know in the comments below what you think of Towerborne, whether you've played it already or not. I love reading and responding to as many comments as I can on my videos. Make sure to click subscribe and hit that bell for notifications of all my uploads. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.